Okay, this is going to be my video just to document the unboxing and what everything looks like for the Harbor Freight Predator 13,500 watt portable, they use that term loosely, generator. So it showed up today, was delivered by YRC Freight. The delivery weight is 430 pounds. I was lucky enough to get free liftgate delivery because the guy that delivered it wanted to deliver outside of the time window given, which was 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. He was very good about calling half hour prior to delivery, and then he called also last night to let me know that he was going to be bringing it and the window. But since he wanted to deliver outside of that 10 to 2 window, he did offer the free liftgate feature just because I had previously scheduled somebody with a forklift and they weren't going to be able to meet me after that 10 to 2 time. So anyway, I'm going to start cutting straps, cutting cardboard, unbolting, and then we'll resume for part 2. Okay, cardboard off, straps off, here we go. So the reason I did this video is because I'd looked around over and over on the internet for videos about this generator, and the only one I could find was some guy that appeared to have just put too much oil in it and the thing smoked like a devil, and I think the blame was kind of left on the generator, and I'm not buying it. So I wanted to give everybody a view of what this thing looks like, from start to finish here, of when I even put it in its final destination here at my house. But I must say, taking the cardboard off, I'm blown away. I mean, this thing, it just appears to have excellent fit and finish. I mean, I'm not a noob. I've owned 8,000 watt generators with Honda engines and Onan heads, and my initial inspection here is that this thing is just very well put together. I don't knock Harbor Freight because I buy a lot of things there. I mean, I am kind of choosy sometimes on what I will bring home with me because I know some things are made better than others, but this looks like it's well done. They even included a bottle of Stabil, which just blows me away. It's like we've got some other jets for probably different altitudes. So, and I had previously downloaded the manual and looked at it, and it's a very well done manual. I mean, they cover everything. They have parts diagrams. They really did a good job. So I'm going to finish now, put the wheels on, and get it down to where it's going, and we'll start again. Okay, I'm really hoping I can chain all these little videos together. But before I went any further, this is a box that was kind of wedged in on the side there of the generator, and this has got all the goodies in it. So we got some big tires. It's like they give you something to put the oil in the engine. Various bracketry, something with anti-vibration pads on it. Battery hold down bar. Your big lifting hoop. Little bag of screws. Looks like it's to be a tool kit. Some axles. And lots of silica packets to keep it dry, I guess. So, again, this is the Predator 13,500. I believe the part number is 67125 or 61725. Anyway, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, here it is in its permanent home. This is a little shed that I have converted, or am converting, into a wood shop. And it's also going to be dual purpose by housing my generator. It had no electrical when I first started out, so it now has a 100 amp service panel with a 60 amp breaker that goes down with an outlet that's wired down to the floor here with a 50 amp range outlet. And that is how I will be getting the generator power to this shed and the rest of the house. I'm going to write up procedures for that. I know a lot of people will talk against backfeeding a generator into a shed or into a panel, and for the most part if you don't know what you're doing, and if you're not willing to create a regimen of steps that you're going to follow to perfection every single time you would go on to your generator power, then I wouldn't recommend doing it. You've got the risk of running the power back up the line, hitting the transformer, getting bumped up to 7,200 volts or whatever, and electrocuting somebody. So if you don't know how to do it, don't do it. The generator, I brought it through this door. I tried to bring it through with the wheels on, and that wasn't happening. With the wheels is right at about 32 inches, and my door opening was 29.5. So once I got it back to the shed, rolling it through the yard, I had to take the wheels off. I put down a couple 1x12s and slid it up here into the shop. So it's got a nice tag on the top here. It tells you, hey, put oil in it, because that'd be a real bad day if you didn't. I went with some Mobil 1 full synthetic 10W30. Manual recommends 10W30, so that's what I went with. This shed has heat, so I'm not too worried about the oil getting real thick in the wintertime. As far as the little toolkit, you get everything you need pretty much to put it together. The wrenches will get your wheels on there. You might want a little bit bigger one. I had a pretty good size adjustable to hold the axle when I put it on. It just made things a little easier. I put 5 gallons of gas exactly in the tank, and it's showing it to be just a little under half, but if I read correctly, it's a 7-gallon tank, so really it should be a little over half, so maybe a little inaccuracy there. Let's see. Yeah, fuel capacity says 7 gallons. So at any rate, as for the battery, I had on hand a 525 cranking amp lawnmower battery. And rather than spend $75 on the 36 amp per hour, which Harbor Freight claims you need, I put that smaller battery down in there just for now. Now I can tell you that the tie downs, let's see, where are those? I would have used those, but the shafts here are too long, so you're out of threads before you can put any tension to hold the battery down into the tray. So those are kind of useless right now. The other thing I'd never seen before, these little terminals that they have for connecting to the battery posts. I assume it was designed for round battery posts. That's cool. My guess is Harbor Freight's battery is going to have round posts on it. But something that caught my eye, and I wasn't quite sure what to think of. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. These little copper lugs here say 30A on them. Now to me that says 30 amp. And I don't think that's enough for a generator that's calling for a 36 amp per hour battery. They're obviously expecting some pretty good cranking amps to go through this thing. For comparison, I've got a 1400cc motorcycle. It calls for an 18 amp per hour battery. And it has substantially larger terminals connecting the wires to the batteries. So I'm going to keep an eye on that, and when I'm cranking it, I'm going to use my infrared thermometer, and I'm going to look at those and see if they're heating up at all. If they are, I'm probably going to chop those off and go with some nice welding cable ring terminals and crimp those on there, and put some heat shrink over the ends of them and make them look nice. So anyway, back to quality. They even did a little sound deadening on here on this flip up lid, which is real nice. I got the lifting hook put on. That was real easy. Thing about oil, the manual says 2 quarts. So far I've put in the 1 quart and then a good chunk of the other quart, but I still have, there's probably 8 ounces left in the bottom. Now I haven't started it yet, and there is an oil cooler down here, so I know that's gonna use up a little bit of oil. So my recommendation is, don't see it says 2 quarts of oil and just dump 2 quarts of oil in, because that may be what happened to the other guy out here on YouTube that's got the video where the thing's smoking like a chimney. If you put too much oil in, it's gonna get picked up around your rings, and it's gonna get combusted. So Add it slow and check it. All right. The handle. The lifting handle is a really cool feature. When I started out, I put mine on upside down. And I just figured this out a little bit ago when I tried to lock it out, like you see here. So you see there's a little rubber bumper on here. For some reason, I don't know, my brain told me that was supposed to go down here so that when the handle would fall down, it wouldn't slam into the bars. No, that's not true. Rubber bumper goes on the top, both sides, and don't tighten this bolt too much. If you do, you're not going to be able to move it freely, and it's going to wear the paint off and cause other issues. When I put my wheels on, you know, they didn't provide any grease or anything like that. I did go and I had a tube of what's called Shinetsu grease. Or no, I'm sorry, Molly Benham. It's a real nice, thick, pasty grease, and I applied some of that to the shaft. In the center of the wheels, they've got a nylon bushing, which is nice, and it spins real nice and freely and everything. But I always like to throw a little grease in. I just think that is going to prolong the life, make your bushing last longer, make the wheel spin smoother. It's just a good thing to do. So, all right, now I have, like I said, I've not started yet. I've got the fuel in, I've got the stay-bill in, I've got the oil in. I'm going to turn it over a couple times and I'm going to check the oil. I might let it run for 5 seconds to get the oil up into that cooler. And then I'm going to make sure I don't need to top it off anymore. So I'm going to open the door up here, get a little air going. And I'm going to turn my heater down so it doesn't kick on. Okay, so I'm going to go to on. We're going to pull the choke out. Looks like the breakers are off. Not really that it matters. I don't have it plugged into anything. And we're going to see what happens. Oh yeah, let's check for a fuel cutoff. I'm sure there's a fuel cutoff somewhere in this thing. Yep, fuel valve, bottom of tank. There it is. Nice little metal petcock. Kind of like what you'd see on a motorcycle or, or whatever. So we're going to open him up. Let the float bowl fill up. And hopefully I'm not going to get a bunch of smoke. We're going to wait a second. That float bowl might not be filled up yet. Okay. Yep, it's on. Let's try this again. Third time's a charm, right? Okay, for the record, I have zero smoke. No smoke at all. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and check the oil real quick, folks. I want to make sure it hasn't dropped down too much. And if it needs to be topped off, I'll let you know how much. And we'll come back and fire it up one more time. Okay, when they said 2 quarts of oil, they weren't kidding. I mean, it was pretty much 2 quarts to the mark. And it put it right at full on the stick. So, just as always, add oil and take your time and check frequently because you just never know. You never know how much is going to be left in the bottom of the engine after testing, or if the filter is going to have oil in it. Speaking of filter, so I was at Harbor Freight over the weekend, and I was curious if I was going to be able to buy the filters in the store because you know, they do carry this 22 horse Predator engine on the shelf, and they told me no, you pretty much have to call Harbor Freight to get parts. So is it a huge deal? No. Do I wish I could just go to Walmart and get the filters? Yes, but I understand that's just not reality. So what you might want to do is when you order your generator, because by the way, they don't carry these in the stores that I've seen, you will have to do it online or over the phone. Just throw in and get yourself a couple oil filters and maybe an air filter or two also if you're going to be, you know, doing regular use of it. The air filter is pretty impressive. The closest thing I could compare it to is a K&N air filter. It is your automotive type accordion paper air filter. It's got a foam pre-filter on it that appears to be oiled. Just really well made. I just don't see anything on here that I'm not impressed with. I'd put the quality definitely equal to the last Genera I had, which was it had a Honda 16 horse electric start and an Onan head. And I know Onan's hard to beat. So, you know, the generator head may not quite be the same, but we'll find out. I'm not going to be able to do any load testing today, and obviously I'm not going to run this thing on a hard load at this point anyway. There is a break-in period for it, which I will observe. I recommend anyone else to observe that break-in period. Extended warranty. I know Harbor Freight will try to sell you an extended warranty on a $6 drill. Do I think it's worth it? No. On a $2,000 generator that's only warranted 90 days from the factory, do I think it's worth it? Absolutely. So I did buy the 2-year extended service plan on this thing. Some people might think that's dumb. That's cool. If it breaks in 2 years, I'm covered. And that's cheap insurance. I don't even want to have to think about getting it out of here, though, and getting it to somewhere. So we're going to hope it was just cheap insurance. Let's see, anything else? The only things I had to put on, the rubber feet that you can see down here. Each one had 4 screws. That was a little bit of a challenge, just because I had to kind of use some cribbing underneath the generator so I could get it up high enough in order to put those feet on. I had to put the wheels on. Those are pretty easy. Obviously the handle. One nice thing I like about the handle, it's got this little pin here. So when you're done using the handle and you want to just fold it down, you can lock that into a folded position. Let's see, what else? Features wise, oil cooler, I already mentioned that's there. That's kind of cool. I don't know whether it really needs it, but they felt it did, so there it is. It's got an inline fuel filter I see peeking out there. It's twin cylinder. Again, same engine that they sell on the shelf at Harbor Freight. I think they usually go for around $600. One thing I did want to take a look at, if we can see it, is, and this may not be split loom. Nope, this is solid loom. I was curious how big of the gauge wire they used going from the head, but I'm hoping it's at least number 6. Looks like somebody there marked on an OK, so apparently there was some quality control, or at least something to appear that there was. Alright, let's fire it up one last time. And then in a couple months, or however long it takes me to finish my wiring out here, and I do ultimately plan to extend my exhaust outside. I saw a pretty schnazzy video on YouTube where a guy had the whole little, he had a sleeve through the wall, and then outside he had a pipe with a little flapper on it and everything, and I thought that was pretty cool. Get those exhaust fumes out of here. The only thing is potentially heat. In the summertime, I am going to have a wall mini split air conditioner out here, so maybe that would cover the heat, maybe it wouldn't. So I may be looking at some point and doing some kind of ducting to bring in fresh air when the generator runs, but I'm not going to worry about that yet. Alright, here we go. I'm not going to choke it. We'll see if it starts. Alright, we'll choke. It's Illinois. It's cold here right now. It's about 40 degrees in the shop here. So this is outside the shed. I don't have all the wall insulation done, and I don't have any plyboard on this side, so it's a little, I can hear it out here, but this is my house here. And it's a Wicks building. It's kind of like a Morton, you know. Bedroom's right there. I don't think there's going to be any sound issues when this thing's running at night. I don't think maybe barely hear it in the house. Okay, that's it for now. I hope this video is useful for folks, and you know, if you've got some nervousness about this generator and you see the pictures in the catalog or online, and you know, you've looked at the manual but you still just can't bring yourself to doing it because it's that Harbor Freight stigma. I get it, but honestly, I'll take this any day over something they've got out at Sam's Club or you know, Walmart. For a Chinese generator, if that's what you want to call it, I don't know what they could have done any better here. It's just a very nice put together machine, and I don't feel I wasted money whatsoever. So, all right, thanks for watching. I'll come back at you here in a month or two with some running tests.